All right, listen up, all you parents of kids who have kids in high school and are clueless in regards to what they want to be when they grow up. I have got the perfect man for you to meet. Please allow me to introduce you to Ed Samuel with Sam Nova Inc. Hi, Ed, how are you?
Hey, good, Shelby. Good to see you again.
It's wonderful to see you. So, Ed, you and I were talking, and guys, the reason why I wanted Ed to talk to you today is because I used Ed's services for my son Kyle as well as for my son Parker. We contacted you. I should start off from the beginning. You are a career business coach. Is that what you would call yourself?
Yeah, I would say career coach. I'm also a business coach and, and
Okay.
an executive coach. But I love to help moms and dads with their sons and daughters.
Right. And so you and I network in a group together. And when I learned of what you did, my son Kyle was the first one to go through your program in my family. And he really had no idea, being in high school as a junior, what he was thinking of trying to be when he was he going to go off to college? Was he not going to go off to college? What was his interest? So why don't you tell everyone a little bit about what you did with Kyle, and I'll just let you talk now and I'll be quiet.
Yeah, well, one of the many things we do is in our firm when it comes to career coaching is we help kids that are in school, a son or a daughter who might be a junior or senior, and they're just not sure what to do going forward with their life. And many times, what will happen is that they'll just guess at something. There might be something. Hey, mom or dad might suggest something. Hey, I might have an interest in something. But the harsh reality of it is that the statistics in America is that when kids go off to school and they go off to college, let's just say, in this case, 28% will change their major in year one because they had no idea what they wanted to do when they headed off to college. And some people think that that's an okay plan, and I would beg to differ because that's a very expensive okay plan when you have to do 5 years in college versus 4. So what we try to do is we try to work with them as early as possible. Some people say junior year is a good year. Senior year, for that first semester is still a good year. And we'll sit down with them like we did with your son to say, okay, let's go through an exercise. And it's a very extensive exercise. It's not lightweight. It's not just a few questions, right?
Yeah,
Shelby?
over 500 questions, right?
550 questions. And we, so we had your son go through and fill out those questions. And we look at 4 primary areas, right? His personality in depth. We looked at what his interests are. He had a lot of interests. And then we looked at what he's good at. And even in high school, people start to get really good at things, like really good at math, or really good at English, or really good at performing, or really even, these skills start to get refined early. And then his values. And believe it or not, our kids in high school have values, things that are important to them. And for some, making a lot of money might be really high, and some it's really low. Some might be faith-based, some would be less faith-based. So we'll look at values. So we look at those 4 things: personalities, their interests, their skills, and their values. And so he had to go through, and that assessment could take an hour and 15 minutes, 20 minutes to do. And he did that. So that was kind of part 1. And then what we did is we then sat down and I encourage, and in your particular case, Shelby, you sat in on that discussion, not because we asked you to speak and go back and forth. We really focused on your son and really focused on him. But it's always good for a parent to be there. And then, prior to COVID, we met in person. With COVID, now a lot of this is being done virtually in the last year. But if you're under the age of 18, then we do require one or both parents or guardians or an adult to be present. Now, with the virtualness of things, we're a little bit less that's a little bit less of a requirement, but it's still good to have the parents sit in just to listen. So you sat in and we spent about 90 minutes, probably more than 90 minutes going through. And I walked him through this initial 24-page report. And it's almost like building a case, step by step, and I really try to get it, we go deep in his personality. We try to call out those one or two major areas. We really look at 6 areas, but I try to focus in on those first 2, especially to make sure that we're not off so much when he's trying to figure out that career. And then we dove into all his interests, and he had a lot of different interests.
Yes,
and then we had to keep whittling it down. And part of the whittling down process is to try to separate what his interests were. Like, I like this, but let me do a little research, because that might be more of a hobby.
Right.
Like thing, not necessarily something I want to make a career, decision in. And then we talked about that a little bit. Then we went into what is he good at? What is in terms of his skills? What kind of what does he like to do, and what is he good at? What does he enjoy learning and continue developing it from a skill set standpoint? And then we kind of closed on values. And we look at values in 3 dimensions, right? We looked at values in terms of the environment that he would like to work in. We looked at if he worked really, really hard at this career, what does he want out of it? And then we looked at, overall, even at 17, 18, what's his life values? And we take a deep look at that. Now, it's interesting when we start to piece this together. Hopefully, your son start to see kind of this alignment going on between his personality, his interests, his skills, his values, so that he's able to then take 1, 2, 3 areas that we kind of looked at. And I said, let's do some research. So I asked him to do a little bit of research, and we gave him some tools. Mm-hmm. And he dug into it to then really come out that other side with some more conscious decisions that he's making for mom and dad.
Right.
So, and I know, and if I recall, he spoke to you at length about, his decision making.
Absolutely. I got to tell you guys, this when I sat through and heard you, Ed, you talked about Kyle, and you read to him and shared with him what was important to him and who he was, it was spot on. And you did the same thing with Parker. Like it's truly, if the kids take the time to honestly answer and not give the answer that they think their parents want them to say, but truly say what they want to say. And with Parker, you did it virtual via Zoom because we were in COVID. He's a senior this year. And with Kyle, you met in person. And with both of my kids, they were absolutely spot on. And, it was values and so forth. When we talk about that, like you determined that money was important. Kyle wanted to make money, but time was very important to him. He needed to know when he was off and when he was on. And you even made the reference of, oh, you could never be a realtor because your mom's always running and you don't like that kind of stuff. He's like, oh no. So, I mean, it was just, it really was, it was spot on. And then you gave him a tool. Why don't we talk real quickly? Because I don't want us to have too much time. I want to get you on LinkedIn as well. The tool that you gave afterwards when we were done, that he could research careers and what they get paid and how many there are, and what was that tool?
Yeah, there's several. We give our clients, when we get done with the this 90-minute consultation that we do, we then kind of release this report to the son or daughter, and they're able to then look at a more of an expanded version of it. And in that expanded version, there's an action plan that they can click on, but more importantly, there's some resources that they get to go to. And we have a ton of resources, I think 20 different things you could do research on. But one of the tools that we give them direct access to is ONET. And ONET will allow them to drill down and actually look at the types of jobs within these particular career families. And then, how many people have degrees, don't have degrees, advanced degrees, whether those jobs are either on the decline in the next 10 years, flatlining or in the increase in terms of demand, what the salaries are in the state of Pennsylvania, whatever the state you live in, and what they are nationwide.
Which
And
was
what
a
the
really
current,
cool tool. It was a very cool tool.
exactly, and even what job openings are right now. So, you go through that exercise, and then once you kind of understand what that career area is, now, what would be the best college major to go after to align to that type of career area? And we had resources to help make that decision as well. So those are some next steps in the exercise to really think it through, do some research, and then land on something you feel pretty good about.
And let's be clear, it's not you have to go to college either, because some of the career paths, when you were talking to Kyle about his experience, when you were giving him his top 3, what would he excel at and what would he like? The third one was being a cop. And that's not, I mean, unless you're going criminal justice or whatever, but that's a whole different atmosphere. And you were honest with him in regards to, different types of work that maybe he likes consistency, he likes a routine, working in a warehouse, would that give you some type of routine? So it's not just college based. So if your son or daughter is not thinking of going to college, it doesn't mean that you can't connect with you still to maybe help them find some type of technical vocational field that they might be interested in.
Absolutely. When our assessment looks at 5 different types of areas that people really have interest in. There are some people who are just hands-on. I mean, hands-on. They have to be touching, working something, and they're inquisitive, but they may not want to be an engineer for a big company, but they want to be maybe a mechanic, and then going and doing the going into an automotive field on a vocational basis would make the most sense. And you are right. I did bring up being a police officer because a lot of things were aligning that to him. And then, but again, he had to do some research on that to determine, well, if you go down that route, it's going to require certain things. And if you go down a different route, it requires some different things, but it would align well based on who he was. So yeah.
And let's be clear, if he had done that path, I'd be calling him every day going, are you okay? Are you okay? He didn't want to talk to his mother every day.
Yeah, he'd be out and about more than mom in that particular case. So, but there is a lot of truth behind it. So here's another statistic that a lot of people, Shelby, they don't know, in that in America, after someone graduates from college, 7 years later, 50% of the people that that no longer work in the career area that they went to school for.
Right.
It's staggering.
It really
and
is.
the analysis after that says, well, 50% of those people who no longer work in that career field never wanted to be to begin with, right from day one.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think about it, 4 years in college, 7 years, 11 years of your life doing something you don't even want to do, that happens way more often than not. And again, there's no badness in that. It's just that then you have to make a pivot to go do something that you want to do. That's why we actually help people do those pivots and assessments even after college. And we do it for working professionals right up to the age of 75 years old. So this assessment is really for everyone, but to get it right earlier on just reduces the opportunity, just reduces the risk. There are many times we'll meet with people. Well, my dad's an accountant. My grandfather was an accountant. You're going to be an accountant. And they go off and they become an accountant. And then they find out, 5 years after college, they graduate, they're very, very unhappy.
Right.
And so the goal is for your son, just like for both your sons, eyes wide open, and they're making some conscious decisions so that the path they chose, where they go down, is bringing out the very best of them, all of them, and everything's hitting on all cylinders. So they kind of land that not just the dream job, but the dream career all at the same time. And if we can kind of get close to that, then I think what we do in terms of working with sons and daughters in high school, we feel very good about that.
So how can people reach you in order to get in contact with you if they want to have their son or daughter take this assessment?
a couple different ways. Go to our website. The website's www.sam, like Uncle Sam, S-A-M, Nova, like the star, NOVAINC.com, samnovainc.com. That would be one way. You can certainly call our main number, which is 610-274-8214. Again, 610-274-8214. Or you could drop me an email. I'm also on LinkedIn. And if you drop me an email, it's esamuel, ESAMUEL, at samnova, SAMNOVAINC.com. So a couple different ways. Any one of those ways will get to me. Love to talk to moms. And usually what will happen is that, we have different fees. We have people around the country on my team. Most of the people on my team are certified, meaning that they've done at least 6 assessments. Some of the people have done countless assessments like myself. So you don't have to necessarily be in the area. And if you have a relative, that lives in Cincinnati, Ohio,
In Zoom.
Anywhere, Zoom, we do them all around the country. Even before COVID, we were doing them around the country. So, and we try to match people up, not just with me, but maybe with somebody else. So if somebody wants, hey, I really want a woman assessment consultant, then we can assign somebody on the team to reach out. If you want a man, and you don't necessarily want me, then there's plenty of other men that could talk to that we could align people to. So I'm pretty open about that. So
that's awesome. Well, guys, honestly, I can't thank you enough. You really did. You helped not only Kyle get into a profession, not into a profession, into a program. He's specializing in what he sees his gifts to be, and he's doing really well his freshman year. And Parker will be going off. So guys, I absolutely encourage, if you have a child that is unsure of what they want to do, for a very small fee, it is well worth it. So Ed, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today. I really appreciate you.
Hey, Shelby, thanks so much. Always a blessing to be with you.
All right, see you guys next week. Thanks.